Welcome back to another episode of Wiccan's Wicked Reptiles. On today's episode, we're going to talk all about how to keep your reptile room clean, how to keep your animals happy, and overall reptile room maintenance. Stick around. I think the most important thing for any reptile room, no matter what your setup is, no matter what your schedule is, no matter what species you keep, as long as you maintain the very best husbandry for your animals, you're doing a good job. After husbandry, I'd say cleanliness is the most important thing. If you don't have a clean reptile room, it's going to be disgusting to be in. You don't want to spend your time in there. Your reptiles aren't going to get what they need, likely, because you don't want to go in there. And also, it's probably not good or good husbandry for your reptiles to have a dirty place to live. So keep your reptile room clean. And the third thing that's important about reptile rooms is efficiency. And the reason I say this is because you don't want to spend all day cleaning or taking care of your reptile room. You want to spend your time enjoying your animals. That's what we all got into this hobby for in the first place, was to enjoy our animals, like this very fat monkey right here, who, okay, you can be there, that's fine. And what's the point of spending your entire life cleaning your reptile bins and your racks and everything else? Just make a system and make it efficient, and that way you're in and out and you can spend more time enjoying the time with your reptiles. So now we broke down the three most important things, and I think we're going to add tips and tricks at the very end. But in terms of husbandry, there's a few things you should do. I would just break it down like a schedule, right? So daily tasks, weekly tasks, monthly tasks, and then maybe yearly tasks depending on what you keep. So examples of daily tasks are things like fresh water. Your animals have to have fresh water all the time. Misting down enclosures if you need humidity is another really good one. Food for certain animals. If you've got, baby leopard geckos, for example, you want to feed them every day or every 2 days. And spot cleaning is really important too. Every day I come down here. It's a very quick process because I've only got something like 20-something animals. Spot cleaning is also very important. Just come down to your reptile room once a day and take a scooper and scoop out some of the droppings, the urates and the feces of your animals. It's something that's really easy to do. It doesn't take that much time. It feels really weird when leopard geckos lick your neck, by the way. And that kind of goes hand in hand with cleanliness, right? Because if you're spot cleaning every day, you know that there's no feces or urates sticking inside of your reptile enclosures. They stink up the room, they stink up the enclosure, they breed bacteria, and the quicker you can get them out, the cleaner it's going to be, and the less often you're going to have to change the substrate, which is, I would say, probably a monthly task. But so that's your daily tasks, I would say. If you want to add more, if there's something I forgot, put it down in the comment section. I'm sure there's something that I forgot. Your next step is weekly stuff. What do you have to do every week? Well, first of all, cleaning is a big thing. Not just spot cleaning, but cleaning the inside of the enclosures, especially enclosures where you mist them down. Often you'll get water spots, so to clean that down just to look nice. Feeding your animals every week is something that's important too, especially if you have an animal like a ball python where they feed every 7 to 10 days, depending on how you're doing it. So feeding would be another thing on the weekly category, and then cleaning hides in water bowls and things like that. I don't think you need to clean the water bowl every day, but every week would be good. And what I do is I just use dish soap, Dawn dish soap, that's it. Just make sure that you rinse it really good, and then you're okay. You don't have to use any special chemicals, and for a water bowl, you probably wouldn't want to do that anyway. And the hides, clean those as well. Make sure they're not soaking up bacteria. And you spot cleaned every day, so now you're good to go. You're clean for the week. For a monthly routine, I would say there's two things on this list. Maybe not every month, but every month to 2 months, I would suggest cleaning out all of the substrate and redoing it. This is different depending on what you use. If you have a bioactive enclosure, obviously this is not going to be the case. But if you just have a regular enclosure with a regular type of substrate, I would definitely say getting rid of it. And sometimes more often, I would say too, if you have, say, leopard geckos on paper like I do, I clean every 2 weeks, or if needed, because it's kind of harder to spot clean with these guys. But you'll know. If you've got good husbandry, you'll know when to clean. But I would say substrate is a monthly thing, or once every couple months, 3 months, whatever the case is. And then the other thing isn't to do with cleaning or the enclosures at all. It's to do with your animals. I would suggest weighing your animals, just to make sure that, especially if you have a lot of them, it's hard to keep track. And just make sure that they're on the right track, they're maintaining weight, or they're growing. If they're younger animals, I would suggest definitely don't wait until it gets too late and you notice, oh crap, this looks really sick. This animal looks really sick. Just kind of keep track of the weights of your animals, and then kind of look to, with record keeping, just as a side note, maybe in the weekly thing, feeding logs are really great too. Very simple. You know, you can just print up a piece of paper. You don't even have to really print it up. You can just put a piece of paper on each one, a sticky tab on each of the bins or each of the enclosures, and then just mark the date and mark if they fed or not. And then you can put it into an Excel file or Google Sheets or however you want to do it, or just keep a stack of papers, whatever you want to do. Record keeping is something that you should be keeping on top of weekly or maybe monthly. Now for the yearly routine, there's not really much on this list, if anything at all. If you're a breeder, there's something that you should do is definitely plan for your next year. Plan when you're going to start broodmating if you do that, what you're going to do, the genetics that you're going to use, if you need to get anything, sell anything. Just kind of plan out your collection. This feels really weird. As much as you can. And then review would be another thing too. Just review your whole reptile room and how the last year went. You know, was there a lot of changes? What do you want to do going forward? I guess it's part of the planning as well. And just one more note about breeders too. I think on a weekly thing, exchanging air in egg tubs, which just reminded me I have to do that right now, so I'll do that. So that basically takes care of not only husbandry, but cleanliness, right? Just make sure that your animals are taken care of, the room is clean, their enclosures are clean. That's very important in maintaining a reptile room. And then something to make your life a little bit easier is efficiency and tips and tricks. So things like efficiency, what I mean by this, make sure your lights or your heating mats, heat tape, are on timers. For example, I've got 3 enclosures right on here. We've showed these in several videos before. If not, I'll link them right here. And these enclosures are on a timer, so they all go off at the same time, they come on at the same time as well, and that way you never have to worry about it. If you can't come down here once in the morning for whatever reason, you wake up late, you have to run out the door so you're not late for work, no big deal. The lights are on, they go off, easy breezy. If you have heat mats or something like that, you want a thermostat. This could be as simple as a thermostat you use for a heat mat for seeds. There's seedling heat mats that you can buy on Amazon. These are great. I have one hooked up to my incubator, which is also, well, it's not on a timer, but it's on a thermostat. And then the thermostat that I use for my racks is a Herpstat 2 Spider, I think. It's the red one. I paid an extra $10 for it to look cool. But anyway, it has 2 inserts, 2 inputs is what I'm trying to say. So this rack is on the one channel, and then these 2 are connected together and they're on the other channel. And that way you can change night cycle and night drops and things like that. So automation is a big thing for maintenance, for efficiency in your maintenance of your reptile room. And organization, this really goes without saying. Stay organized. Put all your stuff where you need it to be. If you need your cleaning supplies in a certain area, your feeding supplies in a certain area, keep it all together. It's like that old saying, if you make your bed at the beginning of every day, no matter how bad your day is, when you come home, you have a nice bed to come home to and go to sleep in. Well, it's the same thing with your reptile room. If it's nice and organized, it's clean, it doesn't look unsightly, it's pleasant to look at, you're going to want to go in there more often. And you're just going to have a better experience overall with your reptiles. Now for just a couple tips and tricks. For one thing for sure, water bowls, right? Water bowls are something that you can use a ceramic and you want to clean them, or you can use plastic. What I normally do is I have little sandwich containers if I need it to be a shallower bowl, and I clean those ones. And then you can buy deli cups at a food supply chain. Here in Southern Ontario, we've got one in Niagara Falls that I go to, and you can just buy sleeves of deli cups. They're super cheap, and you can just recycle them. If you don't have a good recycling program in your city or your area, I suggest washing them. Don't pollute the environment. We all love animals. Can you hear that? So that's a sound that leopard geckos make, if you didn't know. Go up there. Another trick, light bulbs. I think I've said this on several occasions before. I'll put another card up here to one of those videos. If you're buying light bulbs and you don't need them to be super hot, you don't have a Savannah monitor, Euromastix, whatever. If you have something that is maybe a tropical species, doesn't need a super high amount of heat on the hot spot, buy dollar store basking bulbs. Here, I got one right here. Bam, right there. So it's a halogen bulb. Doesn't really, oh, Globe is the company. This is from dollar store in Canada. So I don't know if you can get these in the States, but it's a 50-watt halogen bulb. It costs $2.50 at the dollar store here. Dollarama is the name of the chain, by the way, if you're looking in Canada. I would suggest doing that. If you need a higher wattage, then definitely go out and buy a proper bulb. But a proper bulb for 50 watts in Canada here where I live is something like $11 for one bulb, and then sometimes they're defective, they go too early, whatever the case is. Where if it's $2.50, you can buy a bunch of them, right? If you buy, 4 of them, it's still cheaper than buying one from a reptile store. It does the exact same job. Of course, your UVB light, don't skimp out, go and buy a UVB light from a reptile store that's made for reptiles. If you're going to feed and clean on the same day, don't think you're saving time by handling the mice, putting them in the bucket, having them thawing in the next room, and then go and feed your snakes. Because sometimes your snakes will not know that those mice are in the other room, and when you go in there, they might be hungry and bite your hand, especially because you might have some residual mouse scent on your hand, even if you wash them real good. So my suggestion is do your cleaning, and then do your feeding after that. This is kind of an ad hoc thing. If you have a rack system, this is the way that I clean all my bins. This is today was the leopard gecko cleaning day, but it works with any species that you keep in a bin. So what I do first is I gather all my materials and make sure everything is within reaching, grabbing distance so that I don't have to walk everywhere. Those steps really do add up. Have everything together and it goes by in no time. Make sure you have a clean bin of whatever the same size is that you're taking the animal out of the dirty bin. Have a clean bin ready to go. Have that bin in the slot below wherever you're cleaning, and put your substrate into it. Put your water bowl in, put your food bowl in, and then get your animal and put it in there as well. Then the old bin, what I do, because I use paper towel, is newspaper. I take the newspaper, I crunch it up, put it in the garbage, and then I dump the bin into the garbage can, so any fecal matter or bugs or whatever that's in the bin gets into the garbage can. And then I take my F10, which is the veterinary sanitizer that I use. I spray the bin, I wipe it out with a paper towel, and then I go with water, and then I spray the bin, and I wipe that out with a paper towel as well. So there's no residue of the F10. I don't want my animals to be ingesting that, obviously. And then I put a new, fresh piece of paper towel, or newspaper in this case, inside the enclosure. I put the food bowl in, I fill the food bowl, and then I take I spray it down first is what I do, I should mention, just to keep it nice and in place. And of course, if your animals are shedding, this is great as well. Put the food bowl in, I put the worms in the food bowl, I put the calcium in, and then I take the animal and I put the hide and the animal inside the new enclosure, and then you just repeat. This is really fast. I only have 4 leopard geckos now, but I did them all in, I don't know, I want to say like 12 minutes. It was very quick, very fast. And this is a great opportunity too to check your animals out and have a look at them, and if you want to weigh them at this time. But at the end of the day, we all love animals, we all love reptiles. So this is a perfect opportunity to spend some time and have them crawl all over you and make your YouTube video if that's what you're into. And about those UVB lights, make sure that you write it down, maybe on the side of your enclosure, in a book, on a reminder on your phone, whatever the case is, when it's ready to change your bulb. Some 6 months, some a year. Make sure you're changing your bulbs, because if you have a UVB bulb that's not producing UVB anymore, you're basically doing nothing and it's really injuring your pet. That's it for this episode. Thank you very much for tuning in. This was your how-to guide of how to maintain your reptile room. If you liked this video, please consider hitting subscribe. We're very close to 100 subs, and as soon as we get there, we're going to do 2 videos every single week. Whatever you guys want to see, what do you guys want me to talk about, put it in the comment section below. I take next week's video idea from the comment section every week now. I really enjoy doing that and interacting. If you have any questions, put them down there as well. And until next Monday, this has been Wiccan's Wicked Reptiles. Thanks for coming by.